I'm reviewing every MCU movie and TV show in chronological order until Avengers Doomsday is released, and this week we're reviewing Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Now this is how you write an MCU movie. Now we're following up with Steve Rogers after Avengers and the Battle of New York and just seeing how he's doing, and basically he's keeping up with the Captain America stuff. He's S.H.I.E.L.D.'s #1 soldier. He's leading missions and shit like that. He's taking out terrorists, jumping out of planes without a parachute. And you know what? He's working with S.H.I.E.L.D., but at the same time, he's not really appreciating what S.H.I.E.L.D.'s becoming. And what that is basically putting crosshairs on anybody they might see as a threat. And it turns out when you think like a villain, you probably are a villain. With that being said, Hydra has infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. and now it's up to Cap and friends to basically get rid of the organization as a whole. Whether it's S.H.I.E.L.D., Hydra, it's basically one and the same at this point. Now this already makes up for a great plot, but it gets even better because Captain America's best friend is on the side of the enemies. Now there's a lot to like about this movie, but I think what highlights I take away from it is Chris Evans really embodies the character of Steve Rogers now. He is more believable. I feel like this movie kind of solidified him the same way that RDJ is Iron Man. I look at Chris Evans now, that's Captain America, that's Cap. And he really does a good job in portraying a guy that is supposed to be from like the mid-late 40s being thrown into, you know, the early mid 2010s-ish. You know what I mean? I think the way they particularly introduced Sam Wilson's character, the Falcon, was great. I think him being someone that works at the, you know, veterans hospital or works with vets that have some PTSD, I think that's a great role. That's a great way to introduce him and make him a little bit more comfortable around Cap. Soldier to soldier, right? Cap was a bit of an asshole for overlapping him so many times, but that's neither here nor there. I think the way that Nick Fury was portrayed in this movie did him a great justice as well. You know, he had enough swag in this movie to where he was more interesting, to say the least. I feel from other movies, he was very still in the shadows. You don't know much about him, and he kind of seems untouchable, right? But in this movie, he gets touched. Pause. And overall, Samuel L. Jackson does a great job in portraying the spy side of Nick Fury in this movie. Now, the story was great. S.H.I.E.L.D. was built up in these past movies to be, you know, the good guys, the ones that you trust. They have a record. You know, they're the ones that assembled the Avengers. You felt trust in this group. Until now. The movie stripped them of that, and now you see that Hydra has infiltrated this organization. And basically, they poisoned S.H.I.E.L.D. There's so many people on the inside, you don't know who to trust now. Now, the Winter Soldier is a man of few words in this movie, but that's really because he was fucking people up. Overall, they just delivered a great group of characters and put together a great story. It's rare for me to say this. There wasn't really anything I didn't like about this movie. The pacing was great. The villains were great. The heroes were great. The side characters were great. The music was good. Now, why am I saying that this is how you write an MCU movie? They took it back to grounded MCU and they stayed true to the character. Now, they didn't talk about Infinity Stones. None of that was ever mentioned. Now, the story was about corruption and how the lines blur between protection and rule. And that just made this whole thing really interesting, especially seeing how it affects Cap and kind of realizing, man, shit hasn't really changed, you know, since when he was fighting in World War II to present day. Now, talking about villain-wise, it was memorable. Hydra is back, and all the people that work under Hydra, you know, some make a return, and some are just kind of like sleeper agents that you're like, damn, what the fuck is going on? And the cherry on top is the Winter Soldier is like the perfect flip side of the Captain America coin. You know, he's a soldier, and he is just dedicated to the mission, and he's willing to do anything to get it accomplished. He's not gonna let someone stand in his way. And when I say flip side of the coin, that's kind of exactly who Cap is. If he believes in something, he's not moving. He's gonna fight fucking everybody to, you know, stand his ground and show that he's right. And whereas the Winter Soldier, he's deadly. You know, I honestly think that Bucky, the Winter Soldier, is more so what they wanted out of the Super Soldier Serum. Overall, that's how you write a good MCU movie. You know, you didn't have to make it grander than life. The story was great, and it was grand in its own human way. It didn't go, out of its way to make the character something that's not, and trying to experiment something crazy like they did in Iron Man 3. And they made it more exciting with it just being more so about the character's story rather than like building up on the whole MCU like they did on Thor by introducing an Infinity Stone. I'm not saying that Thor 2 did a bad job, but I'm just saying this one was just more character focused, to where it was a great movie, whether it was MCU or just a regular movie that hit the theaters. It was great overall. Now, just real quick, is it appropriate to watch with your kids? I'm gonna go ahead and say, yeah, there's some parts that are a little bit violent. One guy does get torn to shreds by going through a propeller. It was a little crazy. There's some people that get shot up, and it's not too gory though. Yeah, that's basically it. And as far as what parents can teach their kids from this movie, there's a couple lessons that you could take from it. One of those lessons has to be stand up for what's right even if you're alone. And that really kind of covers what Steve Rogers is doing in this movie. There's not a lot of people that are backing him up. And honestly, at times it does feel like he's alone because he doesn't know who he can trust. But he does the right thing regardless. And one other thing that I took away from this that I felt like I could teach my kids is, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's just doing what's right no matter what. That scene where that guy's supposed to launch the helicarriers, he ends up telling Crossbones, or end up becoming Crossbones, no, I'm not gonna do it. And he has a gun to his head and he still doesn't want to launch it. That to me was real courage. He doesn't have any superpowers, and what the hell is he gonna do? He has a gun to his head, but he's still saying no. That takes courage. Okay, last but not least, where am I ranking the Winter Soldier in the MCU? Stand the fuck up. This is an S tier movie. Yes, we have the first S tier Marvel movie on our hands here. I don't think it gets much better than this. It's gonna be hard to top this one or put something else in this ranking. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, please leave a like, and if you want more Marvel reviews like this one, please subscribe to the channel. Got more of these coming every week. And hey, is Captain America really an S tier Marvel movie? Am I tripping? Or where do you think it belongs? Let me know in the comments below. We'll see you guys on the next one.